right. Let's dive into Sun Tzu's Art of War.
Sounds good.
But we're not just going to, talk about the basics.
Right.
We're going deep today.
Deeper.
You sent in some excerpts from artofwar.pdf.
Yes.
And it looks like there's some really interesting mysteries surrounding this text.
Yeah, it should be fun to unpack some of those.
So get ready to explore the timeless wisdom of Sun Tzu's Art of War.
All right.
I think the question on everyone's mind is, can this ancient wisdom, this ancient military treatise, can it actually apply to our modern lives?
That's a good question.
What do you think?
I think it's truly remarkable how this book, The Art of War, continues to just captivate minds across centuries.
Right.
You know, we see it influencing military strategists, business leaders, all sorts of people.
It's everywhere.
But the funny thing is the origins of the book itself are still a source of debate. So, did Sun Tzu even exist? When was this book written? I mean, the answers might surprise you.
It really is like a historical detective story, isn't it?
Totally.
We think we know Sun Tzu, brilliant Chinese general, strategist.
Right.
But what if he's more legend than a historical figure?
It's possible.
That's what's so interesting about these excerpts that you sent in.
Yeah.
They raise some pretty compelling doubts, I think,
Or,
about the traditional narrative.
For sure.
So I guess, what's the traditional narrative?
So the traditional story comes from the Shiqi, which is a historical record written around 100 BC. And it presents Sun Tzu as this real general serving King Holu of Wu in the 6th century BC.
Okay.
And even credits him with several victories. But there's another record from around the same period called the Tso Chuan.
Okay.
And it makes no mention of Sun Tzu whatsoever.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big omission, isn't it?
It's a big one.
Imagine writing a history of World War II and leaving out, Winston Churchill.
Right, or Eisenhower.
Yeah, exactly.
Huge figures.
How could you write a history of World War II and leave out someone like that?
I don't know.
It doesn't make sense.
It's strange.
Why would such a prominent figure be completely absent from one of the... it sounds like this is one of the main historical accounts.
It is, yeah.
Of the period, right? So,
yeah.
What are historians saying about this?
Well, that's the question that has baffled scholars for ages. Some argue that the Tongchuan just focused on different aspects of the period.
Okay.
But others, like the scholars mentioned in artofwar.pdf,
right?
Yeah, Shui Xin and
Right.
Chen Shensen, they find this explanation.
Right.
Well, they find it hard to swallow.
It's hard to believe, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I guess we're left with this really intriguing possibility.
Yeah.
What if Sun Tzu was like a creation? A figure that was just invented to give more weight, more authority to these military strategies.
Yes, makes sense.
During, it sounds like ancient China was just constant warfare.
Constant.
So, it would make sense if they needed some legendary figure.
A figurehead.
To look up to, right?
Right.
What do you think about that?
Well, it's certainly a thought-provoking idea.
I think so.
Imagine the impact of attributing all these brilliant military strategies to, this legendary figure, even if that figure was more myth than man,
Right.
It's a powerful tool to inspire troops and instill fear in your enemies.
It's like creating a superhero for the battlefield.
Exactly.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
But, okay, let's say, for the sake of argument, Sun Tzu himself is shrouded in mystery.
Yeah.
The strategies in the art of war have undeniably stood the test of time.
They have. Absolutely.
That we can all agree on.
Absolutely. The book's emphasis on deception, for example,
Sorry.
that's a principle that's been applied across culture and throughout history.
It's true.
Sun Tzu famously declared, all warfare is based on deception.
It's like a universal truth,
isn't it?
Of strategy.
Okay.
Whether it's on a battlefield, in a boardroom, or even just in everyday interactions.
Yeah.
The element of surprise.
Its power.
And misdirection can be incredibly powerful.
Think about it this way. Haven't you ever achieved a goal by making someone believe something that wasn't entirely true?
I plead the fifth.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Maybe you convinced a friend to see a movie they thought they wouldn't like, or negotiated a better deal by downplaying your true interest.
Yeah.
Those everyday situations, they reflect, in a way, the principles of deception that Sun Tzu outlines in The Art of War.
That's actually a really good point. I've never thought about it like that.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like Sun Tzu is whispering in our ears, guiding our everyday decisions without us even realizing it.
Right.
Yeah, but okay, so the historical puzzle doesn't stop there, does it?
It does not.
There's also this question of the book's timeline.
That's right.
So, when was this thing actually written?
Well, the text of The Art of War mentions this conflict between the Wu and U.S. states, and this little detail actually throws another wrench in the historical timeline.
Okay.
According to artofwar.pdf, this conflict didn't really escalate until after Wu's victory over Chu in 506 BC.
Okay.
But if Sun Tzu actually served King Holu, who died in 496 BC, why would his book focus on this relatively minor conflict?
That's a good question.
That hadn't yet reached its peak.
Yeah, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, does it?
Not really.
It's like writing a history of the American Civil War, but focusing on skirmishes that happened before the major battles at Gettysburg or Vicksburg.
Doesn't make sense.
It just seems out of place.
Yeah.
It seems like they would be writing about the main events.
Yeah. You would think so, yeah.
It's weird.
Precisely.
So, I mean, what's the explanation for that?
Well, some scholars speculate that the book, or at least parts of it, might have been written later. Possibly during a lull in the Wu-Yu conflict. Which would have been between 505-496 BC, or even after Holu's death.
Okay, so we're saying maybe a ghostwriter.
Maybe.
Or a devoted disciple compiled Sun Tzu's teachings after his death.
Yeah.
This is fascinating.
Yeah, it really is.
I love this. It's like a mystery.
A real mystery.
And we're trying to solve it. And this kind of leads us to a crucial question for you as you delve into this ancient text.
Right.
Does knowing the exact author or the exact date it was written, does it truly diminish the power of the teachings?
That's a good question.
In The Art of War.
You think?
I don't know. It's like asking if Shakespeare's plays are any less impactful if we discover he didn't actually write them.
Interesting.
What matters, I think, is the wisdom contained in the words, right?
The wisdom.
Regardless of who actually penned them.
Exactly. And The Art of War is packed with insights that resonate across centuries.
It's true.
Like, for example, the book emphasizes the importance of choosing your battles.
Right.
Sun Tzu said, "Supreme excellence consists of breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting."
That's good.
Now, think about your own life. Yeah. Have you ever achieved something significant, not through direct confrontation, but through
careful planning, negotiation, or even just waiting for the right opportunity?
You know, that's really making me think. Yeah. I can definitely recall situations where I avoided a direct conflict. Yeah. And it worked out much better in the long run.
See, the wisdom of The Art of War.
It's true.
It's not confined to ancient battlefields. Right. It's about understanding human nature, strategy, and the delicate balance of power in any situation.
It's about strategy in life, really, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's not just about war.
Right.
This is already getting me excited to dive deeper into the specific strategies in The Art of War.
Well, get ready. Because Sun Tzu's insights on everything, from the use of spies to the psychological impact of terrain, are sure to captivate you.
All right, I can't wait.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's dive into the actual strategies,
Yeah, let's get into it.
The nitty-gritty.
The details of Sun Tzu's strategies. Right. I'm ready to channel my inner general and conquer.
Conquer what?
Well, maybe just my inbox for now.
That's a good start.
Baby steps,
Baby step.
But, I mean, seriously. Yeah. How do these ancient battle strategies apply to something like managing emails?
Well, remember Sun Tzu's emphasis on planning and preparation.
Right.
That's outlined in Laying Plans, the very first chapter of The Art of War.
So how does preparing for battle translate to conquering my inbox?
Well, think about this. Sun Tzu says, "The skillful soldier does not raise a second levy, neither are his supply wagons loaded more than twice." Okay. What do you think he means by that?
Well, it sounds like he's saying be decisive.
Yes.
Be efficient.
Right.
And I guess minimize, unnecessary back and forth.
Minimize that back and forth.
So instead of constantly checking for new emails, getting sidetracked by every notification.
Yeah.
I should set aside dedicated time to just focus on my inbox.
Very strategic.
Like a general prepares his troops for a specific campaign.
Exactly. Minimize distractions, gather your resources, your email templates, contact lists, whatever you need, and tackle that inbox with focused intent.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
Does it?
Yeah. I mean, I'm always getting bogged down in these email chains, going back and forth endlessly.
It can be a time suck.
Yeah, totally.
It really can.
Sun Tzu would probably tell me to be more strategic with my replies.
He would definitely emphasize the importance of speed and decisiveness.
Okay, so
He even said, though we have heard of stupid haste in war, cleverness has never been seen associated with long delays.
No procrastinating.
No procrastinating.
Got it. Yeah. But he also goes beyond just efficiency, doesn't he?
He does.
I mean, he actually talks about the economic burdens of war.
Yeah, waging war.
Which seems surprisingly relevant to, well, everything these days.
To everything.
Everything's expensive.
He was ahead of his time.
So what does he say about that?
Well, in waging war, he warns that if the campaign is protracted, the resources of the state will not be equal to the strain.
It's like he's foreshadowing the concept of burnout. Like, centuries before it became a buzzword.
Exactly. Whether you're leading an army or managing a team.
Yeah.
Sun Tzu's reminding us that sustainability is key.
Okay.
Pushing too hard for too long leads to exhaustion.
It's true.
And ultimately diminishes your effectiveness.
That's a powerful lesson.
It is.
For any leader, really.
For any leader, for sure.
All right, now let's talk about one of my favorite Sun Tzu principles.
Okay, which one?
Deception.
Oh, a good one.
I've always been fascinated by the idea of outsmarting your opponent. Through, cunning and misdirection.
Well, Sun Tzu would certainly approve of your enthusiasm. He famously declared, all warfare is based on deception.
That's right.
And he wasn't just talking about, military maneuvers. This principle can be applied in all sorts of contexts.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking of that classic scene in a spy movie.
Okay.
Where the secret agent creates a diversion to sneak past security.
Right.
But I guess in real life, it's probably more about subtle cues and carefully crafted words.
Precisely.
Right.
Think about a time when you negotiated better price for something. Did you maybe downplay your eagerness? Or subtly hint at other options?
Oh, yeah.
To gain some leverage?
Okay, yeah, I've definitely done that.
See, those tactics, in a way, they echo Sun Tzu's principles of deception.
Wow, I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I'm basically a Sun Tzu strategist in disguise whenever I'm haggling at a flea market.
That's right.
But he takes this idea of deception even further, doesn't he?
He does.
He talks about winning without even having to fight.
Right.
That sounds amazing.
Doesn't it?
But how do you actually pull that off?
It all comes down to strategy.
Okay.
He believed that the ultimate victory is achieved through strategic maneuvering, psychological warfare, and diplomacy.
Okay.
As he states in Attack by Stratagem, supreme excellence consists of breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting.
That sounds great.
It does.
In theory.
Right.
But how do you actually, break someone's resistance without confrontation?
Well, think about it this way. Have you ever convince someone to do something by making them think it was their idea all along?
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe you've won an argument.
By presenting your case so logically and persuasively that the other person had no choice but to agree with you.
Okay. I can see how that kind of aligns with Sun Tzu's thinking.
It does.
It's like you're outmaneuvering your opponent.
That's right.
Mentally and emotionally.
Mentally and emotionally, yeah.
Rather than engaging in, a direct clash.
Exactly. Sun Tzu understood that true mastery lies not in brute force, but in this subtle art of persuasion and, I guess you could say, manipulation.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And this leads us to another fascinating concept.
All right, I'm ready.
He explores.
Lay it on me.
Qing and Qi.
Qing and Qi.
Direct and indirect tactics.
Ah, yes.
All right, this sounds intriguing. I want to master this.
Well, imagine a basketball game.
Okay.
A direct tactic.
Okay.
Or Cheng
right.
would be like a powerful slam dunk.
Okay.
A bold, straightforward move.
Got it.
But a skilled player also knows how to use
Yeah,
indirect tactics or chi a series of passes,
okay,
feints, and maneuvers.
right, to create an opening for that perfect shot.
It's not about choosing one approach over the other. It's about seamlessly blending them.
Okay.
Keeping your opponent guessing and ultimately outmaneuvering them.
That's a great analogy.
Thanks.
I like that.
Yeah.
So it's not about choosing one approach over the other.
But the blend.
It's about using them together.
Right. Sun Tzu compares a skillful general to a falcon.
Okay.
He says the quality of decision is like the well-timed swoop of a falcon, which enables it to strike and destroy its victim.
That's a powerful image.
Isn't it?
But I have to say, all this talk about deception and manipulation, I mean, it makes Sun Tzu sound
I see what you mean.
A bit ruthless, you know?
It can seem that way.
Is there any room for, like, ethics in his philosophy?
That's a question that's been debated for centuries.
I bet.
While Sun Tzu's primary focus is on achieving victory, he does acknowledge the importance of minimizing casualties and preserving stability.
So it's not about winning at all costs?
Not necessarily.
There's a sense of pragmatism and even a hint of compassion?
He had to be pragmatic, right?
I guess so.
I mean, think about it. If you're leading an army,
right,
you can't just be completely ruthless.
That's true.
In waging war, he states, generally, in war, the best policy is to take a state intact. To ruin it is inferior to this.
So it's like he's saying that excessive destruction ultimately weakens everyone involved.
It weakens everybody.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
It is, and it's a powerful reminder that even in the midst of conflict, it's important to consider the long-term consequences.
Yeah, that's something that I think we often forget.
We do.
You know, we get so caught up in the moment
that
we don't think about the future.
We don't think about the future consequences.
Okay, so we've talked about preparing for battle,
deception,
What else?
Well, let's shift our focus to something a bit more cloak and dagger.
Oh, I like that.
Intelligence gathering.
Spies.
Yes?
This is like stepping into the world of espionage and intrigue.
A little bit of James Bond.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit.
So does Sun Tzu reveal his secret techniques for training undercover agents?
Well, he doesn't quite give us a spy training manual.
All right.
But he does dedicate an entire chapter called The Use of Spies to the importance of intelligence gathering.
Okay, well, I'm all ears.
Right.
What kind of secrets does Sun Tzu reveal?
Well, he outlines 5 types of spies, each serving a unique purpose.
Okay, lay them on me.
All right, so first we have local spies who blend in with the enemy population.
They're undercover.
Exactly, undercover agents.
Got it.
Then there are inward spies who are officials persuaded to switch sides.
Ooh, double agents.
Double agents, yeah.
Interesting.
Then we have converted spies who are enemy agents turned to work for you.
So they're like captured and then flipped.
Flipped, yeah.
Got it.
Then there are doomed spies.
Doomed spies.
Yeah, these are the ones who spread misinformation.
Oh, so they're like sent in to deceive?
To deceive, yeah.
Okay.
And lastly, surviving spies.
Surviving spies. Okay.
These are the ones who successfully infiltrate and return with vital intelligence.
That's a lot.
It is, right?
Sounds like a very intricate,
it's very intricate,
and high-stakes game.
It's stakes, for sure.
But I guess we do this in the modern world, too.
We do, yeah.
I mean, businesses use market research to understand their competitors.
Right.
Politicians rely on advisors to, gauge public opinion.
It's all about gathering information.
Right. It's all forms of intelligence gathering.
Aimed at gaining an advantage by understanding the landscape and anticipating the moves of others.
So Sun Tzu was basically advocating for market research and political analysis.
Way ahead of his time.
Centuries ago.
He recognized that knowledge is power.
That's right.
He even wrote, enlightened rulers and good generals who are able to obtain intelligent agents as spies are certain to achieve great things. Secret operations are essential in war. Upon them, the army relies to make its every move.
It's like he's saying that.
It's he's saying.
Information is the ultimate weapon.
It is.
And the more you know about your opponent or your competitor, the better equipped you are.
The better decisions you can make.
To make those strategic decisions.
Now, let's move from the shadowy world of spies.
Okay, I'm ready.
To something a bit more grounded.
All right, terrain.
Yes, terrain.
Like mountains and rivers and stuff.
Mountains, rivers, forests, everything in between.
Okay, I have to admit, I've never really thought about the battlefield from like a geographical perspective.
Well, Sun Tzu would argue that understanding terrain is crucial for any strategic endeavor.
All right, so what kind of terrain should I be looking for if I want to dominate the next office potluck?
Maybe not the most literal application, but the principles still apply.
Okay, all right, I'm listening.
So in terrain, he describes 6 different types of ground, each with its own advantages and disadvantages.
Give me the rundown.
All right, so we have...
accessible ground, which is easy to navigate. Entangling ground, which slows down movement. Temporizing ground, which forces delays. Narrow passes, which are strategic choke points.
Like a bottleneck.
Like a bottleneck, yeah. Precipitous heights, which offer defensive advantages and positions at a great distance from the enemy, which can facilitate surprise attacks. So it's all about recognizing the opportunities and challenges presented by each type of environment and adapting your strategy accordingly.
So before I launch into my next project, I should carefully assess the terrain. The resources, the potential obstacles.
Those are obstacles.
The key players.
And then plan my approach strategically.
Exactly. Sun Tzu emphasizes that you should choose your ground carefully and attack only when the circumstances are favorable.
He's talking about more than just military campaigns, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely.
It's like any situation where you're trying to achieve a goal.
That's Sun Tzu for you.
All right, so we've talked about terrain.
Yeah.
Now let's get into something a bit more.
What do you want to talk about?
Aggressive.
Okay, let's do it.
The use of fire.
Ooh, fire.
Fire.
Interesting.
This sounds a bit intense.
A little bit intense.
Are we talking about ancient scorched earth tactics?
Not quite.
Okay.
Sun Tzu's approach to fire is more nuanced.
Okay, nuanced how?
Well, in The Attack by Fire, he outlines 5 ways to use fire strategically.
Lay 'em on me.
All right. First, you can burn soldiers in their camp.
Okay. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Burn the camp down.
Right. Next, you can burn stores.
Okay, like their supply.
Their food, ammunition, whatever they have.
Okay.
Then there's burning baggage trains.
Their supplies on the move, right?
Exactly. Disrupt their logistics.
Okay.
You can also burn arsenals.
Okay, that makes sense.
And lastly, using dropping fire against the enemy.
Dropping fire? What's that?
Well, think about arrows tipped with fire.
Oh, so like flaming arrows.
Exactly, raining down on the enemy.
Okay, so it sounds like it's about...
It is about...
targeted destruction.
Yes, targeted...
disrupting their resources.
Precisely, but Sun Tzu also emphasizes caution and careful planning.
Okay.
He writes, when you start a fire, be to windward of it. Do not attack from the leeward.
Right, because the wind could blow the fire back on you.
Exactly. It could backfire, literally.
Yeah.
He understood that fire is powerful, but can easily backfire, if not handled strategically.
So even the most powerful tools need to be wielded with skill and precision.
Skill and precision, absolutely.
I guess that applies to, everything, really.
Everything, yeah.
Not just fire.
Now, think about how this principle of attacking with fire might apply metaphorically.
Metaphorically, okay.
Have you ever had to make a bold decision?
Oh, yeah.
That was, disruptive, but ultimately necessary to achieve a greater goal?
Oh, cutting ties with a toxic client?
Exactly.
Or quitting a job that was no longer serving you?
Tough decisions.
Yeah.
But sometimes necessary.
Wow, I never thought about those kinds of decisions.
Right.
In terms of Sun Tzu's attack by fire.
Interesting.
Right. Yeah. But I can definitely see the connection.
It's about making those strategic choices that might cause some initial discomfort, but ultimately clear the way for a more positive outcome.
So sometimes you need to...
What do you think?
Create A metaphorical fire.
Yes, a metaphorical fire.
To burn away.
To burn away.
Old patterns, habits, relationships that are holding you back.
Burn it all down.
This is really making me realize that Sun Tzu's strategies aren't just about warfare.
They're about so much more.
They're about understanding power dynamics, navigating challenges, making strategic choices.
It's a life philosophy.
In any situation.
It really is.
Now, let's talk about the 9 situations.
The 9 situations, okay.
Yeah, how can I use these?
Yeah, good question.
To conquer,
let's say,
my fear of public speaking.
Well, maybe not conquer the fear entirely.
Okay.
But understanding the 9 situations can definitely help you approach challenging situations.
Okay.
More strategically.
So what are they?
Well, in the 9 situations, Sun Tzu outlines 9 different types of battlegrounds, each presenting unique opportunities and challenges.
Okay, give me some examples.
Okay, so we have dispersive ground, where you have the home field advantage.
Got it.
Hemmed-in ground, where you feel trapped or limited.
Right.
Desperate ground, where you're facing a desperate situation.
Okay.
And all the way to death ground.
Death ground, okay.
Which is so treacherous, it should be avoided at all costs.
So it's like a guide to assessing the metaphorical battlefield.
Exactly. By understanding the dynamics of each situation, you can tailor your approach.
So if I'm facing a situation that Sun Tzu would call hemmed-in ground?
Hemmed-in ground.
Okay, meaning like I feel trapped or limited in my options.
Limited options.
His advice would be to?
His advice would be to what?
Look for creative ways.
Be creative.
To break out of that confinement.
Think outside the box.
So instead of panicking and feeling defeated, I should focus on finding a strategic way to shift the power dynamic.
Shift the power dynamic.
And create new possibilities.
Create new possibilities, exactly.
This is really making me think about how I approach challenges in my own life.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, because I tend to get overwhelmed easily.
It happens.
But maybe
what?
If I start thinking more like a Sun Tzu strategist,
right.
I can learn to assess
those situations
more calmly.
More calmly, yeah.
And find more creative solutions.
And that's precisely what Sun Tzu's teachings are all about.
They're about.
It's about what?
Cultivating a mindset.
And mindset of what?
Of strategic thinking.
Strategic thinking, yeah.
Adaptability. And a willingness to see...
See what?
Challenges as opportunities.
Challenges as opportunities. Good.
To growth.
I like that.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the art of war.
All right, good to be back.
We've explored a lot
of
those historical mysteries surrounding Sun Tzu and delved into some of his key strategies. Deception, intelligence gathering.
It's been a journey.
It really has.
Through ancient China.
But there's one more layer I want to unpack.
Okay, I'm ready.
The human element of conflict.
Right.
Because it's fascinating to me how Sun Tzu, writing centuries ago, already grasped the psychological dimensions of warfare.
It's incredible, isn't it?
He understood that battles aren't just won with swords and shields, but also with minds and emotions.
The mind is the ultimate battleground.
It's like he was a psychologist.
I know.
As much as a military strategist.
It's true.
Remember when we were talking about terrain?
Yeah.
He wasn't just focused on the physical features of the land.
Of course not.
He saw how different landscapes could affect.
It could affect what?
The morale and fighting spirit of troops.
The morale, yeah, absolutely.
So even something like choosing a battlefield becomes this...
It becomes a
mind game.
A mind game.
You're not just picking a location. You're trying to anticipate how that location
will affect
both your troops and the enemy.
The enemy's troops.
Think about public speaking.
Okay.
Something a lot of people are afraid of.
A lot of people, yeah.
If you're in like a small, dimly lit room, it might feel intimate and manageable.
Manageable, right.
But a huge auditorium with bright lights could make you feel totally exposed and vulnerable.
It changes everything.
The terrain, or in this case the setting, can shift your mental state.
It really can.
And that just highlights how Sun Tzu's principles can apply to...
They can apply to...
situations far beyond war.
Absolutely, so much more.
Public speaking, negotiations, Even dealing with a difficult coworker.
Right.
Understanding that psychological landscape.
Psychological landscape.
Can give you an edge.
Big time.
And that leads us to, I think, the crucial role of leadership.
Leadership.
Remember Sun Tzu's warning.
Refresh my memory.
He said, a whole army may be robbed of its spirit. A commander-in-chief may be robbed of his presence of mind.
A powerful statement.
It's like he's saying even the strongest forces can crumble if their leaders falter.
Their leaders falter.
He also offered some solutions, right?
He did.
He said a general needs to be quiet and thus ensure secrecy, upright and just, and thus maintain order.
So it's about more than just giving orders.
It's about
what?
Inspiring trust, setting an example, creating a sense of unity and purpose.
Unity and purpose, yeah.
It makes me think of all those successful teams and organizations out there.
Right.
I almost always have a leader who not only has a vision, but also inspires and motivates people.
Inspires and motivates, absolutely.
It's about earning respect.
And
not just demanding it.
Sun Tzu also understood that soldiers aren't robots.
Right.
They're human beings.
With emotions and vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
He famously said, regard your soldiers as your children, and they will follow you into the deepest valleys.
A good leader takes care of their people.
It's about compassion and understanding. You can't expect people to just follow you blindly into a metaphorical deep valley.
Right. You have to earn that trust.
Unless they feel valued and respected. So we've been talking about all this, and it's been really great.
I've enjoyed it.
But we haven't really solved the mystery, have we?
We haven't solved the mystery of Sun Tzu.
We still don't know if he was a real person or legend.
It's the ultimate question.
It's like what? The art of war itself is embodying the principles of deception. We're left wondering, was he a real general?
Yeah.
Or a brilliant strategist who just vanished into the mists of time?
Maybe he's out there still, somewhere.
Maybe he is,
watching us.
Or was he just this creation, this legend?
A legend crafted
to inspire and instruct future generations.
It's possible? What do you think? I think maybe the answer doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I think you're right.
The wisdom.
Right, the wisdom is there.
The wisdom contained in the art of war speaks for itself.
It's a testament to the power of strategic thinking. Adaptability, and just understanding the human element.
In any conflict.
Yeah. In any conflict.
Right.
So what can our listener take away from all this?
That's the question.
Well, Sun Tzu's teachings, they aren't just for
not just
military strategists or CEOs.
They're for everybody.
They offer valuable insights.
For
anyone navigating the challenges and complexities of everyday life.
Because we all face battles, right?
We do, in a way,
Whether you're facing a difficult negotiation, leading a team project, or even just trying to figure out how to get your kids to eat their vegetables.
Always the battle.
Sun Tzu's principles of planning, adaptability, and understanding that psychological landscape, they can give you a framework.
For making those strategic choices.
And he encourages us to think critically. Assess our strengths.
And weaknesses.
And always be on the lookout for those opportunities to outmaneuver our opponent.
Whether they're
literal enemies or...
literal or just...
these metaphorical obstacles.
Obstacles in our path.
The greatest victories are often achieved not through brute force, but through...
cunning.
Patience. And a mastery of the mind. So as you go forth into the world, maybe with a newfound appreciation for
ancient wisdom.
Remember, the battle is won before it's even fought.
That's right.
Through careful planning, strategic alliances, and understanding the terrain of both the physical and the psychological landscape. So, as we wrap up our depth dive...
this has been great.
It has been.
Into Sun Tzu's Art of War.
I encourage you.
Yes, encourage you.
Keep exploring,
right?
Dive deeper into those commentaries mentioned in your source material. Consider how these principles apply to your own life.
Right?
And who knows, maybe you'll even discover your own...
Sun Tzu strategist.
Waiting to be unleashed.